I'm going to take you through a short and gentle yoga practice just to really start to foster a sense of love, kindness and compassion for ourselves. Okay, so we are going to use a yoga block. It does not have to be a yoga block. A book or even a cushion actually is going to serve us perfectly well here. So just something roughly this size. We're just going to use it a little bit later for support. Okay, so don't worry too much about that now. I just want you to find yourselves in a nice, comfortable seated position. Okay, on your yoga mat. It doesn't have to be cross-legged, whatever is comfortable for you. Bring your hands to your knees. And we're just going to start with some neck circles. So all we're going to do is just drop our chin to our chest. And as you breathe in, bring your right ear to your right shoulder. And as you breathe out, drop your chin back to your chest. Left ear to left shoulder. Breathe out, drop your chin to your chest again. Just take a few more of these kind of half circles here at your own pace. Now if you feel any points of tension or tightness in the neck, you can just stop, maybe give it a little bit of curiosity and bring it over to the other side. So just starting to stretch out through the top of the spine here. Nothing dramatic, no big movements, just softly, softly waking everything up. And then bring it back to a neutral position. And we're going to take a side stretch. So we're going to pop our right hand down on the right hand side of the mat. Now, it's completely up to you. It's your level of flexibility. You can have your forearm down on the mat. You might be more comfortable just your hand. But I'd like you to think about keeping both your sit bones, your bum bones essentially, flat on the mat as much as possible. So as you take your left arm over, keeping your left sit bone driving down into the mat. It's going to want to lift, and we don't want that. We want you like this. Beautiful. Stretching out here. So really breathing into this space that we're making all along the left side of our body, keeping that left hand active. You can feel that really nice deep stretch starting to build here. And then inhale, bring yourself all the way back up, and we're going to go straight over to the other side. So left hand's going to come down onto the mat, right hand, right arm's going to come all the way over. We're driving that right hip, right bum back down towards the mat, creating that deep stretch throughout the whole of the right side of the body. Beautiful. Bring it all the way back up to seated. We're going to start to twist through the spine now. So left hand onto right knee here. Right hand's going to find the ground behind us. Now as you inhale, I want you to think about lifting upwards, so stretching up out of the spine. And then as you exhale, we're going to create that twist round to the back. Now you can turn to look over your back shoulder, so long as that's not too much pressure on your neck. Just use the breath to gently guide yourself into the movement. And then use your inhale to come all the way back round and through, straight through to the other side. So right hand onto left knee, left hand behind, find the ground behind you. Breathe in to come up, and then as you exhale, guiding yourself into that twist. Now remember, we're all about the loving kindness here. We're not wrenching ourselves into any deep twists or crazy positions. We're just guiding ourselves around as far as our bodies are comfortable to go. And then let the breath bring you back to center. And we're just going to take a fold forward. So just being mindful of your knees and your hips here. We're going to walk ourselves forward just as far as is comfortable. You don't get any prizes for going deeper into a fold. Use your hands. Maybe start to create a bit of a stretch through the shoulders. Wriggle yourself down. Again, we're thinking about keeping your bum on the ground. So your sitting bones flat on the ground. We're not rolling right the way over our knees. Flat on the ground, creating a stretch. use your hands to walk your way all the way back up to your seated position. Beautiful. Now we're going to come over onto hands and knees. So you can roll yourself over your knees, or you can just wriggle and get yourself there. I'm not looking, so don't worry. Meet me in a tabletop position. Okay, so we're in a nice square tabletop position. And when you get there, just have a little play with gripping the mat through your fingers, just to get an idea of stability. And then we can tuck our toes, maybe, if you want to, and stretch out through the soles of your feet here. So gripping through the fingers, stretching out through the soles of your feet. We're starting to activate muscles that we don't really use in day-to-day life. Beautiful. Now we're going to take it through some rounds of cat and cow. Okay, so your feet, fronts of your feet can be flat on the mat. So for our cow stretch, we breathe in, we drop the belly, chest comes through the shoulders, and you start to look up. Okay, no forcing, just gently. And then as you breathe out, pushing the mat away, spine starts to arch, you look back towards your navel, shoulder blades are coming away from each other across your back. Breathing in, taking it back to that cow stretch. Breathing out, coming back to cow. Now here, close your eyes as you start to flow through these movements. Really concentrating now on how this feels in your body rather than how it looks. And you can start to introduce some kind of side to side sways of the hips. Shoulders may be coming over the wrists a little bit. Maybe you tuck the toes again and you can start to come back. Bring your bum towards your heels. Just whatever you want to do, whatever your body is telling you will feel good right now is what I'm inviting you to join in with. So and remember to breathe while you're doing it. Moving through your spine. And then bring yourself back to that neutral tabletop position. Lovely. Now we're going to come up into a downward facing dog. So pushing the mat away with your hands, tuck your toes, start to lift your bum, lift your hips up towards the sky. And then think about the intention of your heels coming to rest on the mat. Now, unless you're weirdly flexible or you've been doing this for a while, your heels probably aren't going to actually meet the mat, and that's absolutely fine. We're talking about the intention, that downward movement of your heels. Okay, so your knees can be bent here. That's absolutely fine. Just think about hips as high as you can, pushing the mat away with your hands, heels coming down towards the mat, and that's going to create that quite intense stretch that we're looking for here. Now, if at any point downward facing dog gets too much, just bring your knees to the mat and bring yourself back to a child's pose, okay? But otherwise, we're going to try and find some stillness here in our downward facing dog, stretching out through the legs, pushing the mat away, creating space. Beautiful. Look towards the top of the mat, and we're just going to gently lower our knees back down to the mat again. We're going to find that child's pose that I talked about. So for a lot of people, child's pose is a lot more comfortable with your knees wide. So keep your big toes together, your knees wide. And all we're going to do is start to take our bum back over our heels. Now your bum might not reach your heels, and that's absolutely fine. Walking the hands a little bit forward. And then we're just going to gently melt our way down. Now maybe your head reaches the ground, maybe it doesn't, but I just want you to be able to find a point of comfort, a point of ease. Find some loving kindness here in this child's position. And then use your breath to bring yourself back up, pushing through the hands to bring yourself back up to your tabletop position. We're going to find some twists here. So what we're going to do is pop our right foot where our right hand currently is. Okay, so swapping right foot for right hand, lovely. And then take that right hand all the way up to the ceiling, maybe turning to look at your thumb, opening out all of that side of your body, creating space here across the heart space, across the side of your ribs, breathing into the space that we've made. And then bring your hand back down to the mat. We're going to take the knee back to where it was. Allow yourself to settle. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So your left foot is going to go where your left hand currently is. And then the left hand's going to go all the way up to the ceiling, stretching out. Opening ourselves out, inviting in warmth, compassion, love and kindness into the space that we're making here. And bring your hand back down to the mat. Take the knee back to where it was. Just going to sit back on our hips. And we're just going to find a little bit of a back bend here. Okay, so nothing dramatic. And you're going to go at your own pace. And if anything starts to pinch or feel tight, you're going to come out of it. And most of all, you're going to remember to breathe while you're in the back bend. So come up onto your knees. You're going to put your hands on your hips. Your thumbs might be able to find kind of the hip crease on your back. And then as you breathe in, thinking about plugging your shoulders back, elbows pointing towards the back. As you breathe in, you're going to squeeze your glutes, push your hips forward, and then just let your chest open, maybe your throat open. Inviting in love and kindness to that heart space, opening through the heart here. Remembering to breathe. Breathing is always the first thing to go in a back bend. And then gently, being mindful of your neck, you can bring yourself back up to your knees. Drop your bum back down. Bring your legs round, and we're going to find ourselves in a Dandasana, seated staff pose. Okay? We're going to find a forward fold. Now, we're not looking for anything dramatic here. I'm not asking you to fold yourself in half unless you want to. So quite a nice way of doing this is to have your feet flat on the floor and your knees slightly bent, and then you can just fold forward and melt over your knees. Okay, and the other option is to have your legs straighter and your feet out in front of you. And what I like to do is breathe in, really stretch up, and then as I breathe out, I think about the intention here of my belly and my thighs meeting. My hands are reaching for my feet, they might not reach entirely, and just melting down into the fold. Use your breath while you're folding forward, so let your inhale bring you out of it slightly, and then let your exhale melt you further forward, seeing if there's any more room to be found there. But just remembering that you don't get handed out any medals for having your knees touch your nose. Find somewhere where you're comfortable to stay for a few more breaths. And then breathe your way out. Use your hands to walk yourself back up out of the fold. And then bend your knees with your feet flat on the mat. I'm just going to make our way down into setting up for a bridge position here. So we're going to do a supported bridge, and this is where your block is going to come in. Okay, so basically you just want to have your feet close enough to your bum that you can sort of tickle them with your fingers. Knees bent, legs, your knees and feet and knees about hip width. Feet and knees about hip width distance apart. Okay, now pushing down through your feet, squeezing your glutes together, you're going to be able to just lift your hips just about high enough to pop your block or your book or even your cushion just underneath your bum, and then melt down into the block. Get your arms down by your side, close your eyes, and just breathe into this supported bridge position. inhale, squeeze your glutes together, lift your bum up just enough to move that block out of the way, and slowly settle yourself back down on the mat. Bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a bit of a squeeze here. Now, keeping a hold of your right knee, extend your left leg long down the mat, and then using your hands to guide that knee all the way over to the left hand side. Stretch your arms out by your side, trying to keep both shoulders evenly pressed into the mat. Looking out over your right hand, close your eyes. Just find your easy twist here. Hug them in again. Then take hold of your left knee, stretch out your right leg. Same thing on the other side. Use your hand to guide your left knee all the way across your body to the right hand side. Stretch your arms out in a T shape. Looking over your left shoulder this time. Close your eyes. Inhale, bring your knees back up to center again, squeezing them into your chest one more time. And then release your feet down, stretch your legs out, take your arms down by your side. And we're going to take the most important yoga pose of them all, Shavasana. We're going to stay here for 5 minutes. Close your eyes, allow your breath to come back to a normal pattern of breathing for yourself. Just allow everything to melt away. start to come back to the room, wriggling through your fingers, wriggling through your toes. Taking some bigger movements here now, through the wrists, through the ankles. You might want to take a big, deep stretch of your arms up high overhead. Point your toes, push your fingers away. Inhale, and then as you exhale, bring your knees into your chest for that hug, giving yourself love and gratitude for everything that you've done here today. Rolling over onto your right side. Finding some balance and some grounding here. Before making your way back to a seated position, however you get there is fine. Meet me at the top of your mat with your eyes closed, legs crossed if you can. Bring your hands to heart center. Bow your head to your hands. Take this sense of loving kindness and compassion through the rest of your day today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Namaste.